One of the things I learned in my early teens and 20s was to get to the party late. By the time you got to the party was going, there's a bit of action, and it was straight into the fun. From a sales perspective, getting to the party late means sometimes you get there, and by the time you get there, the party's over. The question I'd often ask a salesperson in our training and coaching activity would be, with your prospecting activity, do you typically look for customers, prospects who are looking for a solution, or do you look for customers or prospects who are not looking? What's the typical answer we get? Typical answer we get is customers who are looking. Makes sense. Why does it make sense? If I ask the question, I get a typical reason. Firstly, the customer's looking, they're ready to buy something. They probably know what the problem is that they want us to solve. They probably have a process that they're following, and they're underway in that process, and they probably have a budget set, and ideally they know what they want. So from my perspective as a salesperson, why wouldn't I look for customers who are already looking? Reasonable answer. Can't refute the answer. What percentage of the market, I would ask, is looking? So whether you're in real estate, automotive, or business to business, what the research says is that the percentage of customers who are looking at any particular time for your solution is between 2 and 20%. So you say, okay, well, 2 to 20% of the market are looking. That's a big number. Completely agree. Just like to caution this, because sometimes there's challenges in getting late to the party. What are those challenges? So first up, you've got limited knowledge around that particular potential client or customer. Secondly, you have, let's assume, typically no relationships in that company, otherwise you would have been invited to the party earlier. Next, you don't necessarily know what their very specific buying criteria are. And finally, your process is going to be compacted into a very short period of time, probably with very little opportunity to build relationships and do a proper discovery. Finally, I'd say in many cases, depending on the size of the transaction, high volume of transactions or high value transactions enter the procurement department. The procurement department, the natural enemy of the salesperson. Why do I say that? The procurement department have a process they're following, and their job is to put you into the process and to get you to do what you need to do to follow that process. And anything you want to do around that is typically limited around their scope, around the people that you're allowed to talk to, around the documentation, the matrix, the boxes you need to tick, and the documents you need to complete. So I would say that these customers who are actively looking, when you prospect them, they can be won, but they're difficult to win. They're very difficult to win. So what we would say around pipeline is, you've got to be working with looking, of course, but you've got to be working with not looking as well. We know that the probability of working with not looking and converting not looking customers is 3 to 4 times the probability of winning customers who are looking and are well down the path, typically with an existing provider, and you're being used to be part of the process and to put pressure on from a product specification, a solution perspective, and a price perspective on the competitor of yours that they've probably already chosen. Quick one on procurement departments. Procurement departments are highly trained people around negotiations, and they do things to you in RFP processes, which is why it's important that you consider what you work on and what you chase and what you don't chase. They do things like, examples that they've done to me, tender process, accelerated tender process. It's 10 days to complete it. And of course, the day it needs to be lodged is the day straight after the Easter holiday. One of the other key considerations is the resources and the pressure that responding to some of these opportunities puts on your own organisation. So again, I'm not saying don't enter active opportunities. I'm saying be careful and be selective and have some practical test around your assessment of your ability to win that opportunity. Procurement people, highly trained. They need to keep players in the game. They want competition in the game, and often you're never going to win but they want to keep you in the game. They will tell you what they want to tell you at the time that's convenient for them to run the process, and often to select the company that had been selected well before the tender process started. They'll tell you what you need to do to help them negotiate with other companies. They'll tell you you're winning. They'll tell you you're losing. They will switch players through the negotiation to avoid you creating relationships through the process. And they have absolutely no care around the time, the resources that you need to put into that process, and they have no concern for the impact on whether that helps you make your sales budget or not. So, quick summary. Active opportunities are 2 to 20% of the marketplace at most times. Definitely enter active opportunities, be selective. A saying that would like you to take away from this video: know when to play and know when to walk away.